Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Yee-Haw, a Bonanza podcast. I'm your host, Melissa, and today we are watching Season 1, Episode 19, The Gunmen. This episode was written by Carrie Wilbur, David Dortor, and Fred Hamilton. It was directed by Christian Nyby. It premiered January 23rd, 1960. Its special guests were Henry Hall, was the guest star of this week, but it also featured George Mitchell, Douglas Spencer, King Donovan, great name, Dennis Holmes, Ellen Corby, Anne Graves, Jenny Maxwell, Bill Mclean, Jonathan Gilmore, Jody Fair, Dorothy Neumann, and Dorothy Crehan. The episode description is, Hoss and Little Joe are mistaken for bloodthirsty hired killers in a small Texas town dominated by two feuding families. As always, guys, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Yee-Haw Bonanza Pod, or you can email me at yeehawbonanzapod@gmail.com if you have any thoughts that you would like to share with me so I can read them on the show. And of course, if you are watching today's podcast episode on YouTube, please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you listen on your favorite podcasting service, please consider writing me a positive review on Apple Podcasts. I would really appreciate it. Okay, so our special guest of this week is Henry Hall as Sheriff B. Bannerman Brown. And fun fact on him, he was the lead role in the first ever werewolf movie feature ever made called The Werewolf of London. And that came out in 1935. Some of his movies that he's best known for include Lifeboat, 1944, High Sierra, 1941, The Fountainhead, 1949, and Objective Burma, 1945. I have not seen any of those, so I cannot speak to his acting talents, but I'm sure I've seen him in quite a few roles, and I just haven't recognized him. Another random fun fact on another actor in this cast today, actress Dorothy Crehan, I think that's how you say her last name. She was in I Was a Teenage Werewolf with Michael Landon. And I still have not watched that, and I know I need to. I've been told by multiple people I need to watch I Was a Teenage Werewolf, and I promise I will get to it. But she was also in it. We've had quite a few actors so far who were in that movie with Michael Landon. So I got to get that one done, guys. I promise when I get it done, you will know. But I Was a Teenage Werewolf is on my list of movies to watch. And finally, this episode, The Gunmen, is apparently very loosely based on the Hatfield/McCoy feud that took place from 1863 to 1891. And I think that was in Kentucky. Let me double check that. Let's see. Yes, it says the Hatfield-McCoy feud involved two American families of the West Virginia-Kentucky area, along the Tug Fork of the Big Sandy River from 1863 to 1891. So this episode is very, very loosely based on that conflict. And there were no behind-the-scenes content on the box set this week. It just throws you straight into the episode. So very much like the box set, let's waste no more time and let's see what The Gunmen has in store for us today. We are hitting play in 3, 2, 1, go. I'll just tell you guys right off the bat, I don't have a super high opinion of this episode. It's definitely not my favorite. I wanted it to do things that it didn't do. And one of the things I wanted the episode to do that it didn't do is focus more on Little Joe and Hoss's evil counterparts here. Because it would have given them a great opportunity to explore something different as actors. But they only appear at the very beginning and at the very end. And I kind of feel like it was a little bit of a waste. From both an acting point of view and in episode point of view. Like in terms of the story you could have told. The stupid mustache they gave Michael Landon, though. They do this in a later episode too. This is a very repeated episode concept that they do in Bonanza, which is the doppelganger topic. What's the one with Michael Landon? in like season 4 or 5. I think it's called, oh gosh, Alias Joe Cartwright. They give him such a stupid mustache in that episode. So dumb. So dumb. And then as far as I remember, Adam gets at least 2 episodes that are about his doppelganger. I'm just not a fan of the doppelganger episodes. I think they're very silly and a little bit contrived. All in all, I think they do the doppelganger episodes maybe 4 or 5 times throughout Bonanza. I don't think they ever do it with Ben. I know for sure that they do it with Adam at least twice. And then Joe one more time. So yeah, 4 or 5 times. I'm sure I've seen Henry Hall in other roles, but I just probably haven't recognized him. It feels like there were more actors back then. I mean, at least more variety of faces as opposed to today. I'm so sick of seeing like the same 10 actors in movies and television shows. Whereas I feel like there just felt like there was more variety back then, more choices to choose from in terms of who you wanted to watch. Or maybe it's a matter of people just not standing out anymore. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of modern television. I don't find it as interesting. That's the other thing about this episode is it starts off comedic, or it starts off with comedic tones, and then it kind of loses it the longer the episode goes on, and that disappointed me because I feel like if you're going to do a doppelganger episode, you should play into the comedy. It should be played for laughs because the concept itself is so ridiculous that I feel like it just warrants more of a comedic take. Sweet ass Hot Joe. Can you guys picture Hoss with an ascot? I can't picture Hoss with an ascot. It'd be a very weird look for him. I don't know what it is about this town drunk, but he reminds me of like an old timey Disney character. It's probably the way he talks. Sheriff, me and the Slade boys are kin. We're really close, Sheriff. I don't know what it is. He reminds me so much of like I don't know, between the period that Disney was making films in like the 60s and the 70s. Like the dumb buffoon. Well, why do those two murderous villains want to come into town? Maybe I'm thinking of a specific Disney character that I can't quite name. Yeah, I think what I really wanted from this episode is I wanted it to really hit on the comedy aspect more. Like, keep going with jokes, because one thing in this episode I noticed is, like, they'll have a couple jokes and then they'll go an extended period of time without a joke, and it kind of falls back into the serious tone, and then it makes a joke again, so it feels just really uneven with how it's meant to be perceived by the audience. Like, are we supposed to laugh? Are we supposed to take it seriously? You know, one of the best Bonanza episodes, in my opinion, is the hay burner. And that one's like consistently funny, consistently dropping situational comedy and jokes. Where I feel like this story is a bit slower and doesn't quite play on it all the time. You know, throughout Bonanza, they had two different locations, and one was meant to be like a town that the Cartwrights were visiting, and then the other location was meant to be Virginia City. And I don't know how the set was laid out at the time, and I wonder if it was just like, on this side, this is where we film the towns that are outside of Virginia City, and then this side is strictly Virginia City, but you can recognize those elements that are supposed to be the differing town. Yeah, they charge different for rooms with locks. That's so strange. And yeah, Joe, pay the extra expense, the 75 cents for a lock. I can hear them pearly gates a jarring open. I have no idea. Did I finish my... I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little tired today. My brain's a little fried, so I don't know if I finished my thought about the two separate sets on Bonanza, but I guess my question being is, like, where was it in relation to each other? Like, was the set just a circle so you could walk from one side of the circle to the other side and you would be in the different town that wasn't supposed to be Virginia City? I guess I would just be super interested in knowing the proximity of all of this to each other. What did he say? Jump in Jehoshaphat? What did he say? By the way, these women are one of the only redeeming aspects about the episode. Repent, sinners! The day of judgment is at hand. I thought it was funny. And that right there definitely looks like repurposed Ponderosa. With the painted blue wall and then the stairs. Captain Obvious to the rescue over here. These poor saloon owners, I mean, you never know when your bar is going to get shot up. Or your place is going to get destroyed because people got too drunk and started fighting and knocking over tables and glasses. The expenses must have gotten annoying after a while. Not $2 whole for that awful ascot. The ascot had to go, Joe. I love you, but it wasn't doing you any favors. This is Texas. It's an ironic line because Dan Blocker was actually from Texas. I wonder if they joked about that. I just thought of a meme with all those guys pointing the guns at Joe and Haas. And I'm going to make a note to post it on the official Yee-Haw Bonanza podcast Instagram. I'm writing it down now. This whole episode could have been avoided had they just been like, hey, you should send a wire back to the sheriff in our town, or better yet, Pa, and he'll validate our story. But no, we needed some silly hijinks. That's the other thing too, is they didn't need the feud in this episode between the Hatfields and the McFadens. I wish they had just kept it focused on Joe and Haas and their doppelgangers, and then really made it funny. More situational comedy, I guess. It would have been nice to see Mike and Dan get an opportunity to play these characters that are supposed to be the doppelgangers of their main characters, but how they would choose to approach the doppelganger characters. Like, I think that would have been fun for them acting wise, and I also think it would have been fun for the audience because you could create an entirely new interpretation of the characters that we know and love, like their evil versions. But the episode never really gives them a chance to do that, which I think is really unfortunate. I just thought of another meme. Gonna write that. Joe and Haas in the cell. This guy feels too, Henry Hall's character, he feels too pleasant to be a sheriff. He doesn't look like a sheriff, and he's so hospitable and casual. Twirly Boggs. Crazy name. Haas is like, they're all going crazy because of the meat they eat. That explains it. Don't blob. Blab. What work could you possibly have to do? It feels a little weird to leave your jail unguarded, doesn't it? Oh man. They're acting like men are like a dying commodity in this town. They're like, we feel bad that you have to die because honestly, we need more men in this town. Joe expressing my sentiments on this episode. I mean, this episode isn't the worst thing I've ever watched, but it is painfully slow in some areas, and just whatever comedy they included just needed to hit a lot faster in order for it to be effective. And I was zoning out when I was taking notes on this, especially near the end. This is crazy. This is crazy that the women are like, there's not enough men to go around, so we'd honestly be willing to just throw ourselves in with criminals because there aren't enough men. like what? Joe's face. I I wouldn't act like such a hussy. Stay away from those pesky females. Honestly, I really do love Joe and Haas centric episodes like with shenanigans, but this is definitely one of the weaker ones where they get shenanigans. What was I saying? My brain is so dead today. I apologize. Wheezy? His wife's name is Wheezy? I thought for sure that little Joe was going to flirt with Amanda and they were going to have some kind of funny romantic dynamic, but it didn't end up happening. And I think they could have played that for laughs too. Well, at least they gave them like a bedroom and a place to stay. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. They really lucked out with the bed and everything. Yeah, it would have been nice. It would have been nice had they not had so much going on. You know what? I'm noticing a theme with these episodes. A lot of these early season 1 episodes suffer from lack of focus in their stories. Like they try to do way too much. They have way too many subplots going on and they needed to be more simplistic to work better. And that's happened in quite a few episodes already. Like, what's the saying? Keep it simple, stupid. But look, this is season 1, okay? So you gotta let it work itself out. Sandpaper the edges so we can get to episodes like in season 3. This is wild. They gag the kid. That's crazy. They tie him up to the bedpost and they gag him. That's insane. This is not hard to predict what's going to happen here. I love this house set. I love the look of it. I love the location. Very unique, very different. Love that little musical cue. I think I would have liked this episode better too if Hoss and Joe played into the fact that they were the Slade boys. Like they tried to convince people that they weren't, and then eventually they play into it. And then maybe near the end you could have a confrontation between the actual Slade brothers and Hoss and Joe, where you don't have to show them in like the exact same scene. You can have stunt doubles, but like yelling at each other from a distance, like the Slade brothers find out that Hoss and Joe were impersonating them, and then they get mad. And then you could have this fun little confrontation, but we never get that. We only get the Slade brothers in the beginning and the end, and I don't know. I feel like it was a really boring choice. And I get, like, including those characters in the same scenes would be difficult because this was 1960. So you don't have technology to do all this crazy stuff, but they still could have done it. And I wish the episode would have taken that route. Or you could just wire your hometown. Twirly Boggs is the best name. Twirly Boggs. I don't think this episode keeps one's attention very well. I think the dialogue drags a little bit. Like the episode gets very stilted because of scenes like this. Like we don't need this monologuing, in my opinion. Like we know who this character is. We already heard him tell the sheriff this earlier. It just feels like a very unnecessary scene that doesn't move the plot forward. Oh, hallelujah, they look mad. Man, he's packing the eyeliner. Look at his eyeliner, his under eyeliner. Joe's face there. Banana. Exposition time. Boop. Sheep dip? And I don't this dumb little subplot of the McFadens and the Hatfields and like how you ate our pig. Wow, my mic is not having it today. Like, I think this, sorry about my mic. I think this subplot is meant to be funny because they're fighting over a pig, but it's like, it's not funny. It's just kind of annoying. So why didn't you let them go if you knew they weren't the Slade brothers? Yeah. See, the sheriff does not give me sheriff vibes. But he seems a pleasant enough fellow. Oh, oh, all right then. Because we're Cartwrights, and that's what Cartwrights do. We're strong, moral men. Wise man. Tell me what it's about, sinner. Yes'm. I actually love this because Haas is like, listen, can you please use your womanly wiles against whatever men there are in this town? Because this is ridiculous, quite frankly. My gosh, my foot's asleep. Oh, I hate this feeling. I'm also not crazy about this final act. This is just it's just very silly. It drags. I won't I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It drags for me. I'm like, oh my goodness. By the time I got to this point in the episode, I was like, please let's conclude it. Let's conclude it. I don't see a point in this. And it's a little boring because the episode doesn't give you enough development to actually care what's going on here. Ugh, it just would have been so much better had they included the doubles more. That's my biggest gripe, honestly. It needed to focus more on the doubles and the situational comedy of that, as opposed to adding this kind of feud, which bogs down the rest of the episode. What in tarnation? Oh, whole bottle. All right. And this came out of nowhere. There's so much randomness. And then of course we have this, which I thought would have happened earlier in the episode when they were in the jail. But okay. Joe, you playa. You only notice the women now, Joe? It would have been funny if he kissed like all of them. I think that would have been great. I think that would have been really, really funny. Still. You know what would have been really funny if they were in the jail cell and like she's like, since you're about to die, I'm gonna give you a kiss, and she kisses him, and then like all the girls like get in line to kiss little Joe. I feel like a joke like that would have been pretty funny. Or just like really playing into the flirtation with Joe, because everybody's like, oh, Joe's like the little cutie, he's so cute, like he's the heartthrob, he's the teenage heartthrob. So it would have been really funny if something like that happened. Is this subplot seriously not over? Oh my gosh. It drags and drags and there's no end in sight. It has maybe 3 different endings where you're like, okay, we're done with this feud, and then it just keeps going. I wanted more of this. This is what I wanted for this episode. I feel like you could have easily accomplished this with stunt doubles and just camera cuts. How much more fun would the episode have been had they leaned into that and then made it really, really comical? But you could have almost kept it in Virginia City and then have like a massive mishap in Virginia City where people talk to the Slade brothers, think it's Joe and Hoss, and then they go back and talk to Joe and Hoss, and it's just like this massive misunderstanding, but it's really funny. But no, we see the Slade brothers for 5 minutes in the beginning, and at the 5 minutes at the end, they're shot to death in a very lazy resolution, in my humble opinion. The end. Yeah, okay. All right, well, look, I think it's fair to say I don't have a very high opinion of this episode. In fact, I would be okay if I never had to watch that episode again. It really wasn't my favorite. I thought it dragged quite a bit. I think it was very tonally confused. Like, it kept switching back and forth between trying to be funny and then being partially serious. Like, it felt like it couldn't pick a tone. And I felt like it was messy. Like, they had a lot going on, and it was kind of similar to El Rojo Grande in the sense where you feel a little bit worn out at the end. And so I probably wouldn't rank that among the higher episodes in season 1. I think it's pretty forgettable. The biggest missed opportunity is not giving Dan and Mike a chance to explore different characters that are meant to look like their actual characters. So yeah, I don't think I have too much to say on this one, guys. Didn't really leave a huge impression on me. Henry Hall was fine. He didn't really get to do too much with his role. Kind of a wishy-washy character. I would have to say my favorite moment is the first moment where the ladies come up and they're like, "Repent, sinners!" Like, I thought that was funny, but I don't think the ladies needed to be as involved in the episode as they made them, especially in the end. My least favorite moment in this episode, this is probably going to sound kind of harsh, but everything else, it just was not that engaging to me. I didn't find it particularly entertaining. I felt like this episode just didn't have a sense of identity, and therefore it was kind of easy to zone out and get a little lost. But yeah, I mean, all in all, in my opinion, I think it's a very weak episode. I love the Hoss and Joe episodes. I love the comedic Hoss and Joe episodes. For example, like the flapjack contest, like that's really funny. And obviously, like, the writing got better the longer the show went on. And like I said before, this is season 1, so I'm not going to judge it too harshly, but it's definitely among the weaker of season 1. And I don't really feel a need to watch it again. So those are my thoughts. If you disagree with me, please write a comment and let me know. You know, you can either email me or you can drop a comment on my YouTube channel. I would love to know what you think, but I think there are better Hoss and Little Joe episodes to come that do the comedy much better than this one did. Next week is episode 20. What are we watching? What's episode 20? It's so exciting week by week. You never really know what you're going to get. Okay, so we watched the Gunmen. Next week we are going to watch, the Fear Merchants. Okay, great. Next week, we will be watching The Fear Merchants. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on The Gunmen. Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know if you disagree with me. I cannot wait to hear what you think. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Hopefully the weather's warming up wherever you are. And I will see you next week when we watch The Fear Merchants. Have a fantastic day, everybody.